One of the best parts about working at Link2Feed is the opportunity to not only develop a software and work with wonderful nonprofit volunteers and staff all across North America, but one of the things we love the most is also being users of the software. So volunteering using the Link2Feed system is a requirement for our staff. And so really what today's webinar is our favorite tips all put together to share with you to hopefully speed up the intake process. There'll be a Q&A session at the end, but Jessica will be letting me know if there's any really specific questions that we should stop and go through. And then there's also going to be a chance for all of you to share some of your favorite intake tips. So as we're going through, if you think of anything that you use at your organization to speed up the use of Link2Feed, definitely write it down because we'll be coming to you all for your best ideas as well. Okay. Jess, just want to confirm that the Link2Feed system is what is showing up on my screen right now.
Yep, you're good.
Perfect. So I took the time to introduce our staff, Jess and Mika, who are on the call. For those of you who I have not met, I'm Emily Brinton. I'm the CEO of Link2Feed. As I did say, I've had the opportunity to work with many, many people on the call over the past 8 years that I've been with the organization, and I'm very excited to give you our top tips today. The first tip that we wanted to share is about the search in Link2Feed. So you can see when I'm on this page that there's a few different options that you can change to decide how you want to search. ID number, birthday, name, address, all of those different types of things. The default in the system is that it will select the name tab for you. So the name tab will be a white color, which means that when I type into the search area, I'm searching by name. But what some of you may not know is that you can decide what the default search option is. So you do that by clicking on your name and then My Profile. When you do that, it's going to take you to your personal preferences page. From here, you go to Preferred Quick Search, and you can change to the search of your preference. So I'm going to change it to the client name search. When I click Save and I go back to the dashboard, you'll see the Name tab is now in white, which means name is my default search, which makes it really easy to search for the thing that I like to use to find clients in the system. Another search tip that sometimes people miss is that you can search in the top right corner of the system. So there is an extra search bar here. So what a lot of people do is click on the client name from the search, which takes you to the services page. You record your visit, navigate back to the dashboard, and then search. But what you're able to do instead is as soon as you finish recording the visit and you're back on that client's services tab, you can search again in the top right corner without having to navigate back to the dashboard. So those are two of our tips on search. Jess, any questions come up in the chat?
We just had one asking if you're sharing your screen, which I can see you sharing your screen. So Andrea, it might be that you have to swap the shared screen with the video. So if you go to the top right where you see Emily, there should be an icon to swap the screen so that you see what she's sharing instead of the full-size video. So give that a try. If not, I can contact you directly via direct chat.
Thanks, Jess. Any other questions in the chat? Okay, I'll make sure that I put everyone back on mute. The next tip that we have today is around our barcode scanning feature. So Link2Feed has the option where you can purchase barcodes and then associate them with a client's profile by going into their profile, going to the personal tab, then making sure the ID field is turned on and adding in the barcode option. So you can then put the barcode into that client's profile, either by scanning it in or typing in the corresponding number associated with that barcode. Once you do that, the system will know in the search, if you select barcode and scan that client's barcode, which client that barcode is associated with. There are two different options for barcode scanning in Link2Feed. So the first is that you can use a traditional barcode scanner that you would plug into your computer with a USB device typically and be able to scan the barcode with the scanner. The second is that if you use a mobile device, so really any device with a camera, a tablet, or a smartphone, you can actually scan the barcode with the camera of that device. So it makes it really easy, especially for outdoor distributions, that you can do the scanning and the use of the system all in a single device. So that is barcode scanning. Jess, any questions come up on scanning of barcodes?
We had one question about the difference between barcode and client ID.
Yeah, great question. So the client identification number, client ID in Link2Feed is created by the system and shown in the top right corner of that client's profile. So that is a Link2Feed generated identification number. For the barcodes, that would be a separate number or barcode purchased by the organization using Link2Feed and then associated with the Link2Feed client profile later on. So the barcodes are not produced in Link2Feed, which gives you the option to have the types of barcoding cards, barcode standard, or the way you provide barcodes to your clients be totally up to you, since you can just scan them into that client's profile.
All right, another question about the cost of barcodes.
Yes, so because the barcode scanning, it uses pretty much all of the primary barcode scan options, and there's a full list of those barcode protocols in our user manual. The cost can really vary just depending on the type of barcode that you choose to use. So we have some organizations who just purchase the barcodes and have them on really simple cards, even like a business card format. And then others who purchase actual key fobs or professional cards that you would put in your wallet, maybe that you would get from the grocery store or something like that. So the cost is variable. It's really just up to whatever option you choose for your barcodes.
All right, how do you search by a barcode on a mobile device on the search bar?
Yes, so if you have the barcode scanning feature enabled, you see a barcode tab just above the search. So you can set that as your preference, as we just reviewed, if you decide to do barcoding. And then all you would do is scan the barcode into that bar by the scanner, or again, if it's on your mobile device, you just click on Scan Barcode, which will then open up your camera. You put the barcode in front of your camera, and it will scan the barcode into the search area.
And then we had another question. Does the Link2Feed site need to be open on an iPad in order for the scan to work? And Jessica, if you want to unmute yourself to clarify if you mean any device or specifically an iPad, then we can answer that question.
Was that Jessica Rollins?
She said question is answered.
Question is answered. Okay, perfect.
And then just someone looking for kind of just the benefits of barcode scanning versus not using it.
Yeah, so I think the benefits really depend on how you like to search for and serve clients at your organization. We have found that users of Link2Feed that are doing really wide scale, especially outdoor or mobile distributions, really like the barcode format. It can also be really great during COVID just to avoid any close contact by being able to just reach your device out and scan the barcode.
And then just one more, which is a little bit more of a comment that what if the client doesn't bring their card with them?
Yeah, so if the client doesn't bring the card with them, you can of course search for them by any of the other identifiers in the system: ID, name, birthday, address, phone. And if they have lost their barcode, you can just simply replace it by scanning a new barcode into their profile.
All right, and then just one more and we'll move on to the next section. Does scanning a barcode record a visit for a client, or is it a faster way to search and open a profile?
Yes, so a little lead into the next section, which is about shortening the check-in process. So I will address that question there, but the short answer is both, and you'll see why in just a minute. So I'm just gonna put everyone back on mute. Okay, so the next section, our tip number 4, is really about shortening the check-in process. Just to refresh again, the primary way of recording services in Link2Feed right now is going into the client's profile, landing on their services page, selecting the type of visit that they're going to receive, completing the details of that visit, which depending on the organization you're with, may include food provided, items provided, or referrals. Or it may not include those things. Those are all settings. And then pressing save. There is a feature in Link2Feed called Quick Click that's really great for those of you who do not track a lot of details on the visit page. So if you don't keep track of the specific food and items provided or referrals given. So Quick Click is a setting that you would need to be enabled. And when it is, you see this green bar above your search area. Over to the right-hand side, you'll see a toggle. So I can toggle it over to on, and it will show me toggles then for each of the different programs that I have set up at that agency. So if I want to record a visit for a pantry program, I could toggle pantry to on. If I'm distributing multiple programs like pantry services and a furniture program, I can toggle both on and it will record visits to both programs. If you are recording a visit for a program that needs a signature, when I select that program, the signature area will pop up and I can take the signature for it. So standard signature options, whatever you have set up on your site will appear here. And I can take the signature, save, and I will get the check mark saying that the visit has been recorded. If you are recording a visit to a program that does not need a signature, you just click on the name and you will get the check mark. So this is where barcode scanning can pair very well. You enable the barcoding feature, you set your personal search preference to barcode, and then as soon as you scan the barcode, it will record the visit to that program. So that's really the way if you needed a really quick process to record visits at a distribution, that you would combine the quick click and the barcode feature together so that as soon as the barcode is scanned, the visit is recorded. If you are using quick click and there is a reason why the client should not receive a service that day, so for example, maybe they are not eligible for the program, they've already picked up, or they're in a forced profile review, clicking on their name will take you into the section of that client's profile that will be able to show you why you are not able to record that visit. And you will see in the top right corner that it will say failed because the client is ineligible. So that's part A to our 4th tip about shortening the intake process. For those of you who do track details on the visit page, like foods or services provided, you would probably want to use this version. We go into our profile, to our settings, and like we set the quick search, we can also set the preferred client tab. So many people will set this to services, but you can also choose to set it to the new visit page and then specify which program visit you want to be opened. In this case, when I click on a client's name, instead of going into the Services tab and clicking on New Visit, it's going to take me straight into that New Visit page. So I can complete the details of that page and press Save. So those are two ways of shortening the intake process. Option A, using the quick click feature, great for organizations not recording a lot of details at the visit. Option B, setting your preferred client tab to the new visit page, perfect for organizations that are tracking details on the visit. Any questions, Jess, come up on either of these two options to shorten the check-in?
Yeah, just a few. What happens if the profile is in forced profile review when you try to use Quick Click?
Yeah, so if they are in forced profile review when you try to use Quick Click, when you try to go into their profile, you'll see a failed notification, and it will take you to the section of their profile that will show you why you are not able to record the visit. So in this instance, there is a special program set up here that this client is not eligible for, but that is similar to the way it would look if they're in a forced profile review.
And then several questions about how do I get Quick Click to show up on my dashboard?
Yes, so to enable Quick Click, you need to go into your organization settings. So I will show you those. So you go into first the network setting to enable it there, but it works the same at the agency level. So I'll show you from that way. You click on Edit, Profile, Intake Organization Profile. Edit again. And then you'll see the opportunity to enable Quick Click down here. Keep in mind, if you are an agency of a larger organization or a network, Quick Click first has to be enabled at the network level. So if you are part of a broader network and you don't see Quick Click available, it may be because your network is choosing not to use that feature right now, and they would have to enable it for you to use it. So you may need to contact your network administrator to have it turned on.
We also had a question, if I have one program toggle, do I need to change the settings to record a visit for a different program?
So if you only need to record the visit for one program, you can just leave the single toggle on. If you want to record it for both programs, you can put both toggles on. And then if you wanted to change it back and forth, you would just need to toggle each time, depending on the program you want to record.
And with Quick Click, how does the number of people associated with the person being checked in show up in the system? Or does that only show up on the Services tab?
Yes, so it won't tell you how many other people are in the household, but it will automatically record the visit for all of the people who are in the household. So on the new visit page, you see household members receiving services, which defaults to everyone being checked off. With the Quick Click, it will automatically record that service as having been provided to all the people in the household.
If using the shortening tips that you just mentioned, Emily, do you see the previous visits before you record the visit?
So if you want to be able to see the previous visit before you record the visit, you would want to use the traditional way that takes you first to the Services tab, because it's only on the Services tab that it will tell you their last visit date.
All right, I think we're good to move on.
All right. Our final tip for today is around scheduling appointments. So we know, especially because COVID, managing long lines, large groups of people, and trying to safely social distance at a distribution can be really challenging. Link2Feed has an appointments feature built into the system to help you manage that. So in Link2Feed, you would preset your hours of operation first. So let's say that your pantry is open every Monday from 10 until 12. You would set it up in Link2Feed to say we're open Mondays from 10 to 12. Then from there, you can set an appointment caseload. So how many appointments do we want to allow over what increment of time while we are open? So maybe you would allow 5 appointments every 15 minutes or 2 appointments every 5 minutes. Whatever that looks like for you, you first set that up in Link2Feed. Then you can have your staff and volunteers help clients schedule appointments. So some people will do that at the end of their previous visit. Some manage it as a call center over the phone. The first step is determining what dates the client is able to come. So you can set both a start and end date or just use a single date. If you have multiple locations that you're doing a central appointment booking for, you can select which locations that you want to look at. And then when you click search, the system will scan through your hours of operation and the number of visits that you allow in each time period to find available appointment slots for that client. When you find the one you're looking for, you just click on select and you can scroll down and press save, which then books an appointment for this client. Anytime you want to update that appointment, you go into the client's profile. You can see down below that they have an appointment and that it is pending. And you can click the edit button to go in and update the details of that appointment. So the most common update is changing the status to say collected when they come in. If they don't come, you can change it to rescheduled, canceled, missed appointment. And then once you have the status changed, you just press save. So that's one way to find and update the appointments. There is also an appointments list that shows all of the different appointments that you have booked. You can filter this list by location if you have multiple locations, by the status of the appointment, the type of program the appointment is for, and the start and end date. So if I wanted to see all of the appointments booked over the next week, I could select those dates and filter, and it will show me all of the different appointments. As clients come in, I can have this in front of me, click the edit pencil to go into their appointment, and then change the status to collected. The appointment list also is downloadable. So if you're not able to use Link2Feed Live, you are able to download the appointments into CSV, a mail merge, or printable file. And then if you need to record appointments, pickups in groups, you can change the status through the toggle, check the names of everyone whose status needs to change to that, and click Save Status Change, and it will record the visit for everyone that you have checked off. Last year, Link2Feed also launched a tool called Link2Feed Connect, which stands for Client Enrollment and Connection Tool, and is a client self-registration tool. So this is a separate program to the Link2Feed client intake software, where clients can do their own intake online. So a client can go into your custom Link2Feed Connect website, enroll themselves by completing your full intake process online. Once they have an account, they can also book services online. So if you have a location or locations that do appointments, you can set it up so that the clients can actually search for any appointment times and then select the appointment they would like to book and book it, as well as change it all online. So again, this is separate to the Link2Feed client intake. This is kind of an add-on that you can choose to use if you want to have clients self-enroll and then book their own appointments. So that's an overview of how you would book appointments at your own agency with your own staff and volunteers. or how if you're using Link2Feed Connect, clients can book appointments for themselves. Yes, I see the chat flashing, so I'm guessing we have a few questions.
Yes, first question is, how do I set up the appointment tab, which I think means the visit page for the appointment?
Yes, so if you want to change your programs to an appointment program, you would want to email the support team if you are under a direct contract with Link2Feed, so they can enable that for you. If you are part of a larger network, you can contact your network administrator, who would be able to facilitate that request with our support team for you.
Question from Debbie, why is a wait required when I am booking an appointment? I always have to enter £1 when booking. So it looks like, Debbie, you have a field there and you're not sure why it's there.
Yeah, so that's likely the quantity field on the new visit section. So it is just asking you to confirm your estimate when you first book the appointment of how many pounds they would have, because it's set up as a required field in your system. This field can be disabled though. It is a kind of a customizable field. So again, depending on if you're in a network, then you would want to contact your administrator, or a direct Link2Feed user, you could contact support if you want to have that turned off.
Another question, can the clients select the food items they would like in Connect?
Not currently, it's just to book their appointment slot right now.
All right, will that be an update someday?
Maybe, it's hard to say. We haven't really had many requests for it so far, so nothing that is in the immediate plans for Link2Feed.
Any other questions about appointments? All right.
So I guess now is a good time to turn it all over to you. Have you used any of these intake tips before at your organization? Do you have any others that we didn't mention here that help create a really smooth and efficient intake process? We'd love to share them out with the group. So I think a couple questions here. Can you use the barcode to check clients in with an appointment? Not currently. It's not currently set up for the appointment program. I see from Virgil, does Link2Feed connect with Meal Connect? It does not currently, no. I think the appointments tab set up one we've already answered. Gift cards scanned into Link2Feed using a barcode scanner. Peter, I'm not sure if that's a question or if you wanted to share anything there, but you're welcome to unmute if you do.
Yeah, thank you. No, one of the great things about Link2Feed is that barcode scanning option. And we gave out thousands of gift cards, and being able to record that number using the barcode scanner saved our organization a lot of time.
So one thing that some people don't realize is that a barcode is actually just a visual representation of a number. So this here is just really these numbers. So any field that is a text field in any software you're using, if you press your cursor in it and scan a barcode, it will fulfill the number part of that barcode into that square. So that's a really good one, Peter. Thanks for sharing that. It looks Harla has her hand up too. Harla, did you have anything that you wanted to share? You're welcome to unmute.
Okay, thank you. So just I got two things. First of all, question is, if we went to a barcoding system, could we use the client ID number as the barcode?
So there's nothing that would automatically populate that for you from the Link2Feed system, but there's also nothing that would prevent you from creating your own barcodes with those client ID numbers either.
Okay, okay. Also, I just have I don't know, a point, and I'm not really sure if maybe there's something that as a network administrator I've got checked on. But when we're on our appointment page, like on the services page of booking our appointments, and it goes back to the #1 tip on the search, in the right-hand corner, we do use that a lot, Emily, so I'm really happy that it's there. But when we're on booking appointments and we save our previous appointment, go to the right-hand search to search for our next client that we're going to deal with. We always have to click on leave that page. And I think that's a fantastic feature because it makes sure that you've actually saved the previous appointment before you leave. So just wanted to throw that in, that it is a really good feature to make sure that everything is done.
Yeah, thanks, Harla. That's a great point. I know when I'm volunteering and it's really busy and I'm chatting with a client and ready to serve the next one, are you sure you want to leave this page pop up? Well, sometimes it can be annoying when you do know you want to leave the page. It has definitely saved me multiple times from forgetting to record the visit. So I really love that one. Thanks, Harla.
You're welcome.
Jess, anything else in the chat?
Yep, we have some just general questions. Can we create multiple programs, or does Link2Feed staff need to?
So the Link2Feed staff do need to set up the programs for you, but then you do have the ability to apply those programs to different locations once they've been set up when you go to administration and organizations. So these are all of the programs that are set up in this test network. If I want to assign one to an agency, all I have to do is click to align the program with the agency.
Another question about Connect. So this is from someone who is just hearing about Connect, I think, for the first time. And they're wondering if that does allow you to add a new client registration form that would create a new profile for that client in Link2Feed.
Yes, exactly. So you will have all of the fields that you track in Link2Feed client intake will automatically appear for you in Link2Feed Connect. If you want to shut some of those off on Connect, you do have some administrative features to do that, but absolutely Connect would allow the client to completely fulfill their own intake, and then you can always just check in with them on things when they arrive for your distribution.
And then a question about appointments. Can we rebook clients with all the previous appointment details automatically checked off? So that sounds like a recurring appointment question.
Yeah, so there's not a way to have recurring appointments. So saying Steve is going to come in every third Tuesday. But if you do need to reschedule the appointment, you just go into the appointment record, click on the edit pencil, and then you can change some of the other details of the appointment. So you could search for a different appointment day or change any other of the pieces of information on that page.
And then any suggestions on how to get clients signed up smoothly to start when an agency is initially onboarding? This person said that they were planning to start and then COVID hit. So now they can't help clients fill out the hard copy intake sheet.
Yeah, so I would recommend really thinking about the fields that you want to and need to track in Link2Feed during COVID, and just making sure you have an intake process of the appropriate length. So if you maybe need to shut off some of the fringe things that aren't going to be relevant for the months of COVID, that's really the first step I would recommend. From there, recording the information with the client in front of you, or 6 feet of social distance from you, if depending on your setup, is definitely the easiest way to onboard quickly. That way you don't have to be passing paper forms back and forth. You can just have a conversation with the client and fill the information in. Of course, Link2Feed Connect really was built for COVID response initiatives. So I would also really recommend considering using Connect so that the clients can fill their own profile out. So it just kind of saves the amount of time once they are actually in front of you. And we've had organizations who have had clients do that in advance of a distribution, or many of them have clients do it just while they're waiting in line.
And then we had a couple of settings questions. One person asked, is there a way to set preferences for when the eligible tag shows on the TFAP pantry visit? Another person asked, does the online intake ask for income? So I think that these are kind of similar questions.
Yeah, so in terms of Link2Feed Connect, yes, you can gather the income information in there. And then Jess, could you just maybe repeat or rephrase the first part of the question? I wasn't sure that I'm fully following.
It sounds like the person asked if they can set preferences for basically when a client is eligible for a TFAP pantry visit.
Gotcha. So there are a few options for TFAP eligibility. There's kind of the open eligibility that you can manage on your own by just looking at the last time they visited. So that's probably the most common, especially right now for COVID with TFAP waivers, just being able to look at when their last visit was to determine if they should receive another visit. There is also the ability to restrict to 1 visit per month for TFAP. So for those of you who are food bankers in Canada, TFAP is a government program with some pretty specific regulations for our US partners. So you can set it up to restrict once a month across your whole network or once a month per agency. So those are the options for opening or restricting TFAP in Link2Feed right now.
We have a question about hours of operation. If they set those up, will visits record outside of those hours?
So the hours of operation is really just for appointments, for booking appointments. So it's not relative to when you actually mark them as collected. So you could mark them as collected after the fact or have visits recorded outside of those hours of operation as well.
A CSFP question. For CSFP, a husband and wife can both get the box, but it won't allow you once he or she is an additional family member. It wants you to choose who is the main client. How can they enter both applications separately?
Yes. So for CSFP, anyone in the household, you can have someone added as the primary household member. So the first person that shows up on the list, or as another household member. And it doesn't really matter in Link2Feed whose name is up here because that's very fluid. You can switch. So Stephanie lives with Sally. I can switch to this client's profile and see Sally's information at the top of the page. Or if I search by Sally, it will enter me into the same profile that we're in right now with Stephanie. Then for CSFP, you just need to complete the CSFP tab for each member in the household who is receiving or enrolling in the CSFP program. So you can have them on the same household. You just need to swap whose name is at the top and then also record all of the details necessary on the CSFP tab for them.
Another question about appointments. Can you have separate appointment schedules for different program types?
So not right now, but we do have a new administrative rollout coming out in about a month or so that does add some additional flexibility to appointments and hours of operation to be able to set different schedules for different programs. So stay tuned, it's coming very soon.
We had another question about asking about having paper copies on file in the case of an audit, and they thought that that was a requirement.
Yeah, so in most states, you're able to do actual digital audits within Link2Feed using the export feature. So you don't need to keep the paper forms. You complete everything in the Link2Feed profile and can then provide that download from the export for your audit.
A question here about suggested visits per month on the client profile. Does this prevent or show an alert if clients have visited more than the suggested amount of times? If so, can you show us how that is done?
Yes, so the suggested visits per month is just a setting that shows up. That is a guideline. There's nothing in Link2Feed with that feature that will restrict the visits. We do have a visits interval feature that some organizations are able to use that provide more restrictive access, but that the use of that feature is really different depending on the network agency or kind of broader structure that your organization is under. So that feature may not be available to everyone.
And the last question I see here for now is we have both TFAP and pantry clients, which is determined by the county that they live in. Is there any way for Link2Feed to automatically know whether or not they're eligible based on their county?
Yes, so there is an option in Link2Feed, I believe. We can double check on that and just maybe follow up. I know it exists for CSFP, that you can restrict the eligibility by the county. So we can definitely confirm that and then follow up.
Yes, I'm fairly confident that that also exists for TFAP.
And I think Carla has her hand up as well. I can unmute you, Carla.
Emily, just back to that TFAP, I know that that's a US program, is that correct? How are we able to restrict number of days bookings on CNCT in Canada?
So there's no restrictions on Connect on the number of bookings that they can have at all right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that a feature that may be coming?
Yeah, maybe it hasn't really been requested so far, but we definitely keep track of all of the requests and then kind of add and roll out the features that are most requested. So definitely a possibility.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? All right, well, I know this is a lot of information to digest. So if you go on Link2Feed's Facebook or LinkedIn page and kind of subscribe to those pages, we're going to be putting a summarized version of this webinar together in words on our blog on our website, which will also include the recording of the webinar. So we will be posting those out to social media and on our website over the next week or so. It will also include links to all of the user manual pages for the features that we talked about, so you know how to go in and turn them on. So that will be coming soon. So please go and kind of follow or subscribe or keep an eye out on our website so you can have access to that. Other than that, we just want to say thank you so much for letting us be a part of the work that you do. We know COVID has been a challenge for all of you, and you're providing such an important service for your community. So thank you for letting us be a part of that. We're so proud to work with all of you and just so grateful for your continued partnership and feedback. The Link2Feed system is the way it is because of all of you and the excellent ideas you've had. So thank you for your partnership, and we look forward to talking to you all soon. Have a wonderful day. Bye, everyone.